Plastic is absolutely everywhere. It's one of the most ubiquitous materials found in the modern world, and sadly, it's not all good. Over the past century or so, plastics have found its way into nearly everything that we use, from keyboards to plastic containers to that toy car that you can't seem to get rid of. It's so common that even the dictionary definition shows a constant incline in the usage of the word plastic. As you might already know, plastic is a material that has many uses, given its high durability and lightweight attributes that seem like a win for any product. However, this is the only silver lining to the dark storm cloud that has been constantly growing. Turns out, it's actually very important to limit the use of plastics as much as possible, and it's not just because it takes over 1,000 years to decompose completely into natural resources. The word plastic comes from the Greek word plasine, which means to mold. This shouldn't be a surprise considering that most, if not all, plastics came from a liquid form that was poured into a mold. It may be surprising, however, to know that plastics actually come from natural resources. For example, some plastics come from crude oil, which is a complex mixture composed of thousands of compounds, many of which come from ancient fossilized organic compounds such as zooplankton and algae, hence the name fossil fuels. Without getting into too much detail, crude oil needs to be refined and processed before it can be made into a liquid plastic. There are two main processes that are used to produce plastics. One is called polycondensation, which involves a condensation reaction, where atoms from two substances join together, losing a water molecule in the process, but linking the two molecules together. Eventually, long polymer chains are formed, and a plastic is formed. The other method is called polymerization, in which monomers such as propylene, which is obtained from refining gasoline, or ethylene, which is naturally produced, or from a chemical called ethane, which are then linked together to form long polymer chains. Depending on which monomers are used, different types of plastics, each with different characteristics and chemical structures, are formed. But with that out of the way, why is plastic so bad? As it turns out, it's not strictly bad for you. If you touch it, you're not going to get leprosy and you're not going to die. However, it's the chemicals in plastics such as phthalates, or BPA, bisphenol A, that can have serious health repercussions. Phthalates are industrial chemicals that are often used to soften PVC, polyvinyl chloride, a type of plastic, and sometimes as solvents in consumer products such as cosmetics, such as makeup, facial care, and so on. They are harmful as they are known to damage the male reproductive system, along with the liver, lungs, kidneys, and other organs. A common phthalate is DEHP, commonly used in medical devices such as IV tubing in bags and blood bags to make them more flexible and soft. It is usually absorbed in the body through the mouth or the nose, and is not inherently toxic immediately. However, according to the National Industrial Chemicals Notification and Assessment Science, or the NICNAS, studies on mice have shown that repeated exposure to DEHP can affect steroidogenesis, or the production of steroids, or the expression of genes critical for reproductive system development. Although the effects of DEHP are not terrible in small amounts, it's how it adds up over time that leads to so many adverse effects. According to the video How Much Plastic Do You Eat by BBC Earth Lab, the process of biomagnification, where the smallest creatures such as plankton that ingest tiny amounts of microplastics as they take in water eventually get eaten by bigger and bigger creatures until larger fish have thousands of pieces of microplastic inside of them. Then the human comes along with a fishing rod and eats all the plastic. And that's how all of us have plastic inside of our bodies. On the subject of plastic going into our bodies, however, according to another video, The Dangerous Chemicals in Your Plastic Packages by Science Insider, BPA has been linked to obesity, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. It could also lead to certain disorders in the reproductive system. In the body, BPA acts similarly to the female reproductive hormone estrogen. This is a problem, as estrogen is also a catalyst of cellular division, after the G2 phase when all checks have been completed. A sperm or egg cell exposed to BPA may divide before these checks and phases of cellular growth have been completed, and if the egg or sperm cell survives but has certain deformed or missing chromosomes as a result of this may result in birth defects in the resulting child, which is obviously unwanted. It may seem like the solution would be to simply find BPA-free containers, or to use food-safe plastic containers. However, the reality is that there's no plastic that is truly safe for your body. There are often substitutes for BPA like BPS and BPF that have studies shown to possibly act similarly in the way that BPA does. The real solution to this problem is to simply stay away from plastic in general. It's not easy considering how widely available it is, but it is simple. You can start by using glass or metal containers instead of plastic ones, or replacing plastic water bottles with metal ones. Especially, sticking to heating food in anything other than plastic will help immensely. Heating up plastic can actually cause some of the ester bonds in the plastic containers to weaken, which releases chemicals such as BPA directly into your food. If this PSA has struck you the wrong way, please don't worry. It's not all dark and gloomy out there in our world of plastic, and your body is simply built to get rid of unwanted substances such as plastic. But to limit the amount of plastic that ends up in your body or in rivers and oceans around the world, just stay away from plastic. If you must use plastic, just don't heat up food in it. It's that simple. We should all take these little steps to building a healthier population and a healthier environment to live in for generations to come.